I'd like to welcome y'all back to another episode of Beyond the Fear podcast, the place where y'all come to get a little motivation, inspiration, and uplifting. And today's episode is something that I've talked about a lot in videos and on the podcast, but it wasn't really something that I've really just given an entire episode to. And the main reason why I want to talk about it is because it came up in a conversation that I was having, and that's pretty much failure. And that's the topic, is just failure and the way we perceive failure. So I'll speak for myself. For the longest time, I looked at failure as a destination. I looked at failure as a dead end road. And that's just kind of like how I was raised, like coming from where I come from or places like that. That's how you view failure. You view failure as the end. You know what I'm saying? Like, you failed. Okay, that's the end of it. You failed. But as you start to get older, you start to branch out. You start to work or go to school with people who do different things, who might start up businesses and things like that, and you start to realize that failure isn't a dead end road. Failure is just a part of the process. So, for example, when I was out there in Houston, I met someone who had a cleaning business, and the cleaning business didn't work for whatever reason, but that wasn't the end of that. It wasn't the end of that person's journey. They were thinking about doing another cleaning business, except this time, now that they have the experience, they know how to do it better. They know how to improve on the business. They know how to he knew how to set his prices better. He knew the type of buildings that he wanted. He knew better locations. So, and probably had some old contacts who knew his work and knew how well he did. And on top of that, you know what I'm saying, he kind of figured out, okay, the type of people I would want to hire, I wouldn't want to hire. So, once you start to get around people who've done things, it changes your perspective on failure. Because growing up, you're around a bunch of people who, well, at least I was around, and it's not their faults, right? Because, we weren't taught, failure is just a part of the process. We're taught, okay, failure is just the end. If you fail, you're a failure, and that's the end of the story. So many people are afraid to fail, but once you realize failure is just a part of the process, that's a part of it. Not saying you go into something wanting to fail, but you have people who understand, okay, this is something completely new to me, something I've never done, something I may or may not have done research on. It's just something that I thought about doing one day, and now I'm just putting the things together to start doing it. Is there a chance that it could fail? Yes. Is that okay? Yes, because I can learn from my failures, do something better to fix what failed the first time, and then try it again a second and a third time. So now the way I look at failures is, instead of looking at it as the end of the road, I look at failure as a pit stop. Going to get some gas on a long journey, you got to go get gas. You got to get you some snacks or something like that. That to me is what failure is. It's like, I got to pull over on the side of the road, fill up my tank, give me some snacks, and then get back on the road. So my perspective on failure has changed over the years, because just talking to people and realizing that, hey, when you're trying something new, when you're venturing out, when you're doing something for the first time, yes, there is a chance that it is going to fail. That does not mean you go in wanting to fail. That does not mean you go in expecting failure. But it does mean that you understand that there's a chance that you could fail, and that is okay. Failure does not mean the end of the road. Failure does not mean you stop. Failure does not mean give up on it, quit. Failure just means, okay, something went wrong that either was or wasn't expected. Let's look at it. Let's examine it. Let's see what it is. Figure it out. Is this something that can be fixed? And if it can, how do we fix it? Is it something that can be avoided next time around? If so, how do we avoid it? And so, talking to people and expanding my mind and expanding my thoughts, and changing my perspective on things has changed my view of failure. So now for me, as someone who's new to podcasting or whatever, I'm open to I'm open and understanding that yes, there's a chance that this could fail. Does not mean that it's the end of the road, and for me, does not mean that I have to quit. Does not mean that I should stop podcasting. It just means that I need to go to the drawing board, figure out what went right, what went wrong, what can I do better, and fix those things. And I mean, really work on them, really try to mold and fix those things, and then get back out there, because too many people are afraid because they look at failure the way I used to, which is, okay, it's the end game. Like, once you fail, then there's nothing else, and you don't want to try something new because you're scared of failing, because you look at it as, okay, if I fail, then I can't do that anymore. And when I hear people speak like that, a part of me completely understands, because for most of my life, that's how I looked at failure. That's how I looked at when something fails. I looked at it as, okay, that's the end of it. You're a failure. And again, that's just how I grew up. And I'm not blaming the people. I'm not blaming my mom. I'm not blaming, the people that were around me growing up. It's like, that's just what we knew. That's how we looked at it. We didn't have people around us managing businesses. We didn't have people around us starting businesses. We didn't have, all of this insight and things that we have now. So I don't blame them for looking at life or looking at failure the way they looked at it. It's just now, with so many resources and so many examples out there, you can pull up YouTube and you can listen to plenty of people who are successful at some of the highest levels, and you can listen to them tell their stories. A lot of their stories are going to start with 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 failures before they finally got to success. Or you'll hear success, then fail, success, fail, success, because we want to highlight the success. But it's also good to understand that failure is a part of the process. They failed several times before they succeeded. And I feel like those parts of the stories need to be highlighted more, so that people understand, okay, failure is a part of the process. I not get it. Nobody wants to be a failure. Nobody wants to be associated with failure. And that's understandable. But we got to also tell those stories so that we understand the future generations understand that failure is a part of the process. Failure is going to happen. When you're trying something new, something you've never done before, you're going to fail. When you're going into a new sport, trying a new sport, whether that's football, basketball, boxing, whatever it is, you're trying something new for the first time, you're probably not going to be great at it. You got to learn the basics. You got to start off crawling, then walking, then running. So I say that to just try to get an understanding of, man, failure is okay, or failure isn't the end of the road. And I think that we've put such a negative stigma on failure that it's just paralyzing people with fear to even try new things, because again, you don't want to be associated with failure. But to me, in my mind, it's okay, because failure is a part of your journey. Once you start to change your perspective and you start to look at it the way I look at it now, which, like I said, is like a gas station, a pit stop, I know that my journey is long. I know that this journey that I'm on is going to have a lot of twists and turns, some unexpected roadblocks, some detours, whatever the case may be. And I do understand that every now and then I'm going to have to stop and fill up my tank. I'm going to have to stop and get some snacks. So when I look at those stops as, okay, I tried something. It didn't work. I thought it would, but it didn't. And maybe it's my fault. Maybe I just had the wrong people around me. Maybe it was too soon. Maybe I missed the window for it. Whatever the case may be. But for me going forward, I'm not going to be afraid to try new things. I'm not going to be afraid to reach out to people and ask for help. I'm not going to be afraid to reach out to people and offer to work with them and collab with them on things. And because I do understand that some of these things will work, some won't. Don't mean that I'm going into them expecting to fail or wanting to fail, but I am going in understanding that there is a chance that it could, so that it doesn't, I don't allow, if it fails, I don't allow that failure to cripple me to the point to where I don't even want to try I don't want to try anything new ever again. Because I've also seen that. I've also seen somebody be so excited to try something new, do a lot of research, pull from a lot of resources, and then they get out there and they try this new thing, and it's going well. And then at some point, something unexpected or unforeseen happens, and it's just something that it just becomes, it starts off small, so maybe they don't pay too much attention to it, but then it starts to that snowball effect, and it just becomes something so big that by the time that they want to pay attention to it, or they try to control it, or they try to, correct it, it's too late. And now, the whole business or the whole situation just ends up failing, or ends up costing way too much money to continue going. And now that failure, or so that failure, hits them so hard that it's just like, I don't want to do this anymore. What's the point? Let me just go back to what I know, back to what I'm comfortable with, and then they'll shrink back into their comfort zone in that shell. And so for me, what I'm realizing is my comfort zone is the scariest place for me. And that's where I'm trying to get to mentally, is mentally telling myself, no, my comfort zone is the scariest place to be, because I know how I am. I know that I'm so in love with my comfort zone that if for whatever reason I go back to my comfort zone, who knows when the next time I'll come out or get out of it. So I'm doing my best to fight those urges when I'm doing something new, or when I'm doing something that makes me nervous, or I start to fail at something. You know what I'm saying? That's my first thought. Oh no, go back to your comfort zone. You're starting to fail, or you're not doing as good as you used to, or you're not getting the praise that you were getting in the beginning. It's starting to fall off, and so that's when that's when that comfort zone starts to yell out to me, hey, come on back. It's easy over here. You know what it is over here. It's comfortable over here. You ain't got to worry about those expectations. You ain't got to worry about failing over here. And it really is a scary, now that my viewpoint is changing, it really is a scary thought to realize how strong of a hold my comfort zone had on me, and how strong of a hold it's still, how strong of a pull, I won't say a hold now because I'm getting out of my comfort zone, but how strong of a pull to come back it is, like how strong that pull is to come back. So every time something doesn't go my way, so what I try to do now is I try to clear my mind of expectations. I try to go into something just looking at it from the standpoint of, I'm going to do my absolute best at whatever it is that I'm trying. I don't know if my best will be enough, but as long as I do my best, then that's all that matters. And whether it ends in success or failure, okay, but I'm trying not to think about that as I go into it, because again, with the way that I was, if I had expectations and I didn't live up to those expectations, then naturally my first thought, go back to your comfort zone. Don't try anything new. So what I'm trying to do now is to do my best not to go into anything with any expectations. So I don't turn these cameras on and start these videos with the mindset of, man, I know this can get 100 views. I know this can get X amount of views. I don't do that because I'm still new to being outside of my comfort zone, and I'm still so close to my comfort zone that I can feel it calling, pulling me, every time something doesn't go the way I expected. So I know that the best way for me to avoid those things is to do my best to take my expectations away from it. Do my best to understand that failure is a possibility. Do my best to not let my fears cripple me, or to let the fear of failure cripple me from trying something new, Or when somebody reaches out, hey, let's do a collab, you know, my natural instinct, I don't know you, I don't know what this is, da 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 da. And now, and in my mind, it's like 100 reasons why it'll fail. And I never take the time. I never, at least back then, I never took the time to at least think of one reason why I could go right. You know what I'm saying? Even if I didn't do it, I never took the time to even think about why something could go right when it was something new. Now, if it was something I've done before or somebody that I knew, if there was at least some type of comfort in it, then, you know, then of course, cool. But if somebody new who I don't know was asking me to do something new, then my natural, normal instinct was just no. I wouldn't even think about, man, this could help me. Man, this could put me in a better situation. Man, this could actually lead to what I really want. The only thing I'm thinking about is, nah, you're not familiar to me, and what you're asking me to do isn't familiar to me, so I'm good. So I'm doing my best now to not get into those habits and falling back into those patterns of just wanting to be comfortable with everything. Now, granted, of course, I'm human, so naturally you want to start off with things that are comfortable. So, you know what I'm saying? So even if I was to take like the podcasting thing, okay, I started off doing videos. I had to get used to my voice. I remember the very first time I heard my voice back on the video, I'm like, nah, that ain't me. That sound country as hell. And you know, because in my head, I think I sound away. And then when I listen to it back, it's like, nah, that ain't me. I don't know who that is. So, but eventually you get used to it. So, you know what I'm saying? I was doing videos, you know, maybe 20, 30 seconds, then videos for a minute and a half, 2 minutes. And now I'm doing, you know, 30-minute videos. And then, you know, at some point, you know, I would love to bring people on and do hour-long podcasts. And I probably could do an hour-long, you know, by myself, but it would definitely be easier to have somebody to bounce ideas and bounce thoughts off of, as opposed to just, you know, getting on here and having just spilling all my thoughts without any bounce back, or, you know what I'm saying, any back and forth with somebody. But all of those things, you know, bringing somebody on, doing interviews, those used to be fears of mine. Now they're things that I'm working towards. I'm learning new softwares, and I'm learning how to, you know, ask certain questions. I'm getting way more comfortable being in front of the camera, seeing myself, learning how to talk without stuttering as much. So I'm getting way more comfortable. So now that when those opportunities do start to present themselves, it's like, okay, let's try it out. Okay, let me, you know what I'm saying? There won't be any hesitation to at least go see what it's like, to know, okay, if this is something that I want to do, or if this is a lane that I can see myself occupying at some point in time. So, you know, I'm definitely starting to get into that mindset of wanting to branch out, of wanting to expand, of wanting to do more. I'm not letting my fears of being outside of my comfort zone, my fears of trying something new, my fears of failure, I'm not letting those things stop me, because I understand now that failure is a possibility, but that's okay. I'm okay with that, because I understand now that failure doesn't have to be that dead end road for me. Failure can be that pit stop, and I can get right back on my road and get right back on my journey, because I've started to change my mind and started to change my perspective on exactly what failure is and what failure means. And I think that, going back to how I was raised, I think that because too many times when, you know, we fail, we give up. When we fail, we quit. So that's why we start to get that mentality and that mindset of failure is just that dead end road, because too many times when we fail, we just give up. Oh, it's too hard, or oh, this didn't work, so it's just never going to work. You know, whatever the case may be, whatever excuses we give ourselves when we fail, you know, we just quit, we give up, we don't want to try again. So naturally, instinctively, you teach your kids that, even if that's not your intentions, your actions teach your kids that. Your actions teach the people who looking up to you and aspiring to be like you, or just wanting to be like you. That's what you start to teach them. Like, oh, no, you know what, that might fail, so I'm not even going to try that. Oh, that looks a little too difficult. I don't know how to do that. That's not something in my wheelhouse. It's something I've never done before. I'm not finna touch that. And so naturally, as kids, we see these things, and so that's how we start. That's how we are. Or you know what I'm saying? And I get it. You know, you have your people who are just that strong mind and that strong will that, hey, I don't care who telling me I can't do it, I'm gonna go do it. You do have those people like that, and you know, and shout out to those people. But a lot of us, we see our parents act a certain way, we act like our parents, or we'll see our parents act a certain way and we don't like it, it disgusts us, or we get annoyed with it, and we try to do the opposite. And sometimes we do the opposite, we become the opposite of our parents, and then a lot of times the main thing that some of those main characteristics that we just did not like about our parents, we still end up adopting those things as we get older. So for me, that's why I say I don't blame my mom. I don't blame the people around me that I looked up to who were more, you know, hey, if it's a risk or if it's the chance at failure or whatever, I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to try to do something that I know or that I'm pretty confident I could fail in. If I'm not confident in doing it, if I'm not confident that I'll succeed, I'm not even going to attempt to try to do it. You know what I'm saying? I can't sit here and get mad at anybody who thought like that. And then naturally, I started to adapt the same mindset. But now my mindset is, why not try it? Why not go do it? Why not attempt it? Because if it succeeds, great. Now I have a whole new revenue. I got a whole new lane. I have a whole new group of people that I can reach. I have a whole new group of like people, mentors, help, like whatever the case may be. And if it fails, okay, that's not the end of my journey, but it takes you changing your mindset. It takes you changing your perspective on what failure really means to you. Now, obviously, I can only tell you what failure means to me or how I choose to look at failure. How you choose to look at failure is completely different, because maybe you failed and lost millions. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? You know what I'm saying? So failure may mean something totally different to you, but I'm only speaking for me. And for me, failure is just part of the process. You know what I'm saying? You do something long enough, you're going to fail at something along the way. Look at your life where you are right now. You can't tell me from, let's just say, elementary to where you are now, no matter how old you are, that there was no failure in your life. You failed at something. I, for example, failed at my road test when getting my license, and I failed in my written test when getting my well, I can't remember what it's called before you get your license, but your permit. I failed the test the first time around to get my permit, had to come back around, and then I failed my test, my driving test the first time around. And was I discouraged when I failed both times? Of course I was. I was devastated, but nothing was gonna stop me from driving. That was my mindset. And so that's a perfect example of me failing something, but also me being so determined and realizing that this failure doesn't mean that I can't do it. It just means that I have to wait a little bit. I gotta wait 3 months, 6 months, whatever it was, to retest for my permit and then retest for my driving exam. So I say all of that to say, man, we get so caught up in letting fear and failure paralyze us from trying new things. But when you take a step back, right, when you change your perspective, when you take the time to just take a step back and change your perspective and look at your life at a different angle, you start to realize that, you know what, man, I failed before. There's something that I'm pretty sure all of us can look back in our lives and realize, I failed at this, but it didn't stop me. I failed at something and it didn't stop me. I tried again. I tried it several more times until I broke through. You know, you have people who might in the beginning, you know, might suck at, might not be good at a certain sport. Keep trying, keep going. And now they might be the number one on the team, or the number one option on the team, or the number one player in the country, or the number one player in the state. It's not always about how you start. It's always about how you finish. So even if you start bad and it's not good and you stumble right out of the gate, and you know what I'm saying, you feel overwhelmed and it's too much for you and all of that stuff, just take a deep breath, take a step back, and, you know, just collect yourself. I think that too many times we react out of emotions, you know what I'm saying? Oh, this is too much. I need to make this drastic change, or oh, this is way more than I bargained for. I need to let this go. Let me sell it before it becomes in. And sometimes that may be the right thing to do. And other times it's like, you know, just take some time, collect yourself, get your thoughts together, and the answer might just be right there. You know, we get so panicked and, you know what I'm saying, we act off of emotion, off of anger, out of fear, you know what I'm saying, and we take so many actions out of our emotions that, because of our emotions, not out of our emotions, but we take actions because of our emotions. And sometimes those actions aren't the right thing. Sometimes those actions put us even deeper into, or put us even deeper into situations that we don't need to be in. Sometimes those actions put us into worse situations, or, you know what I'm saying, and then once it's over with and we get, if we get through it unscathed, or even if we get through it, you know, with a couple of marks, we can take a step back, look at the situation and be like, man, if I wouldn't have reacted in anger, or if I wouldn't have reacted out of fear, or if I wouldn't have reacted out of jealousy or whatever, I could have avoided that whole situation. So, man, so for me, just trying to, you know, wrap everything up, man. Failure is not the end of the road, you know, and I know that it's probably somebody right now going through something, or just failed at something, or feel like they failed at something and they want to give up, but it's not the end of the road for you. Whatever it is that you failed at, you can get back on your feet. It is not the end of the road. You still have, you know, breath in your lungs. You still are, if you still have breath in your lungs, and if you're still able to move, you still have a chance to go and try it again. You get another bite at that apple, try it again, you know, figure out what didn't work, why it didn't work, and fix that. And then going forward, ask yourself why that didn't work, why this happened, why did that happen. Ask yourself these why, so that you can figure out, you know, what went wrong and how you can correct it, or how you can avoid it. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't have to be you by yourself. Reach out to people who are in the industry already. Reach out to people who've done it, because I'm pretty sure there are people right now who were in the shoes that you're in now and have some advice as to what you can do to get through this, what you can do to do it better, and just stop focusing so much on being like, stop looking at it like, okay, I failed, I'm a failure. Like, you failed, but you still have plenty of chances to try again and become a success. You know what I'm saying? And understand that behind every success story that you think that you can possibly think about, there's probably, I won't say hundreds, but there's probably tens or to hundreds of failures behind every single story. No matter what business you want to think about that's at the top, Tesla, whatever, there's plenty of failures. There's plenty of things that they did that were wrong. There are plenty of things, plenty of ideas that they had that failed. So failure is a part of it. I know that we put this stigma on failure, and it's like, no, failure means that you're a failure. Failing means that, you know, you're done, you didn't, like, no, man, you can, as long as you don't give up on yourself, you can keep going. And I know I've been talking about sports a lot lately, but I mean, it's so many stories in sports where a guy was told no, went and did a normal 9 to 5 job and was just like, you know what, this don't feel right. This ain't for me. Let me give it another shot. And then boom. You know what I'm saying? In the pros, doing what they're supposed to be doing. So, man, there's so many people who have those similar stories, that so many people, they got so many no's, and all it takes is that one yes. You got so many reasons why this thing will fail. All you need is one reason that this thing will succeed, and hold on tight to that one reason. Quit worrying about the hundreds of reasons why it'll fail. But if this is something that you really want, something that you really want to fight for, all you need is one good reason as to why this thing could succeed, and just hold on to that. and push your way through, because at some point that one is going to turn to two, that two is going to turn to four, and so on and so forth. And now you got all of these reasons to counterbalance, all these reasons why it will succeed, to counterbalance all these reasons why it'll fail. And now, but you already know you've been pushing this long with just that one reason. Now that you got 10, 12 reasons why, man, keep going, keep pushing. And yes, you're going to stumble. Yes, you're going to fall, but that's a part of the process. Your journey does not stop there if you don't allow it to stop there. You go get your gas, you go get your snacks, and you get right back on the road. You get right back on your journey and understand that this ain't a sprint. This is a journey. Your journey does not last one day. Your journey is going to be years. So yes, you're going to go through your down times. That happens, but you got to fight through those down times. You got to see the light at the end of the tunnel during those down times. You got to understand that you're going to have people coming around you wanting to put you down, all because they don't have the courage that you have to follow their dreams. You got so many people behind keyboards who gonna throw so much doubt and so much hate at you just because you're doing something that they don't have the courage to try. They don't have the strength to try. You're just trying. That's it. The fact that you're trying and they're scared to try is enough to have them throw hate at you. So the hate's gonna come, the dark times are gonna come, the downfalls are gonna come, the setbacks are gonna come. It's going to happen. The failures are going to come. It's going to happen. But push through all of that, because like I said, all it takes is that one thing that lets you know, hey, you can make it. Why can I make it? I can make it for this one reason. I got 100 reasons why I can't, because it's easy to come up with reasons why you can't do it. It's easy. That's your comfort zone calling you. Those hundreds of reasons why you can't, this thing that you're trying, this new thing that you're trying to get you out your comfort zone gonna come up with 100 things before you can even think about it. Before you can think about one thing that goes right, your comfort zone is going to give you 100 reasons why it can go wrong. You don't want to be there. Like I said in the last video, you already know what's there. You already know what's in your comfort zone. Same old thing that's been there. The reason why you're trying to get out your comfort zone is because you want something new. So don't worry about those 100 things that could go wrong. That's your comfort zone talking. Focus on that one reason why it can go right. That's that new pasture. That's that new green pasture out there that you want to get to, that's been calling your name. That's where you want to get. So just follow that one thing, man, and just keep pushing and understand that the tough times are going to come. The haters and the critics are going to come, but don't worry about them. Keep pushing. Focus on the people who want to be there for you. Don't worry about the other side. Don't worry about the people on the other side of the fence. Stay on the other side of the fence. Let them stay there. You worry about that one reason, and then the people that's on your side of the fence, the people that's supporting you. Focus on your team. You focus on the people supporting you. Let the people who hate stay on the other side of that fence. That fence gonna get further and further the more you succeed. You're gonna hear it less and less the further you get towards your goal and your destination. Let them stay on the other side of that fence. Let them worry about themselves on the other side of that fence. So, man, enough of me preaching, man. You know, man, when I get into it, you know what I'm saying, when I start to feel it, it get going. So, but enough of preaching, man. And, you know, that's the end of the episode, man. I just want to say again, for the last time, failure is not the end of the road. It is just a pit stop on your long journey. So quit looking at failure as a dead end road. It is just a part of the process, one of the many parts of this long process that we call life. You're going to have failures, you're going to have success, you're going to have up times, you're going to have down times, you're going to have pitfalls, and you're going to rise again. So just keep rising. Every time you fall, rise up. The only time it really truly becomes a failure is when you quit. So don't quit on yourself. Continue to get up, continue to pull yourself up, continue to reach your hand out for help. And you know, if you can't get up by yourself, continue, reach your hand out, and you know what I'm saying, ask for help, have somebody else help pick you up. But whatever it takes, man, continue to get up, continue to push, stay away from that comfort zone, stay away from the haters on the other side of that wall, on the other side of that fence. Let them stay there, and you continue to go on your journey. And the further you go, the further the noise and the hate and the doubt is going to get from you. You know, and obviously the higher you go, the louder it's going to get. But you just keep pushing forward, and that fence will get further and further away from you, to the point to where you don't even see the other people on the side of the fence. You know they're there, you just don't see them anymore because you're so far into what you need to be doing that you don't even see them anymore. But man, just stop giving up on yourself. Continue to go. Continue to fight for what it is, whatever it is that you believe in, no matter how far away the destination may seem or how far away it might feel to you right now. Just keep pushing, and eventually one day you'll look up and it'll be a lot closer than you think. So thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for listening. For everybody listening on all the platforms, I appreciate y'all. Please leave a review, and if you're watching this on YouTube, you already know, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all next week.